All right. How you guys feeling? Yeah? Are you drinking from a fire hose? Yeah? Are you guys hungry? Yeah, I know. So I want to honor Scott real quick because I hope you guys realize, yeah, give him a hand. Let's honor Scott. So what he's teaching here has changed Trevor's and mine's life when it comes to business. Probably about 10 years ago, and I'll tell my story here in a little bit with it, but the concept of high ticket sales, it does something for your business that it gives you margin. It gives you room for error. Because who here is gonna screw up something in their business probably tomorrow? Let's be real. So high ticket sales, it gives you margin. It doesn't matter what business you have. It doesn't matter if you have a gym, a med spa, online coaching program. When you can acquire a client profitably and you can do it with ease, it gives you room to grow your business, right? It gives you room to make mistakes. We don't want to make mistakes, but it makes life a lot easier, okay? And that's something that I love about Scott, right? I love your passion for this industry. I love your backstory. You know, we had a great podcast yesterday, and you can just see his heart for wanting to help people find freedom, and you find that through profit. Okay? And it's a lot easier making profit when you're selling a higher ticket item than it is when you're selling a low ticket item. Okay? So are you guys game for that? Are you guys game for what he's teaching? You feel like you're learning? Good. All right. So this topic that we're going to talk about is serious. We're not here to pitch you AsherMed. I'm not here to sell you anything. We have no offer slides because there is something going on in an industry right now where we see a change. You guys, anyone watch the Super Bowl? You guys see the Hims and Hers commercial, right? You guys have seen this stuff start to happen. Like there is a change coming and we have an opportunity right now. For the first time ever, we have an opportunity to actually get in a space where we can make a difference when it comes to clinical care, when it comes to people on medical, weight loss, other peptides, all those things there. And that is my whole purpose of this presentation is to get you to believe in yourself that you can actually have a voice in an industry that we never used to have a voice before. All right, can you guys get excited about that? Good. So my name is Josh. I'm one of the co-founders of AsherMed. I will get to my background quickly here. That's not why you're here. But first, I want to ask you something. Little side note, my daughters, they're 11 and 12, beautiful girls. They help me make my presentations. So if this sucks, blame them. All right? All right, it's going to feel like church real quick. But please, if you are involved with a client who is trusting you or your business with their health, please stand up. I'm assuming that's going to be everyone here. All right, look around. You guys hold a lot of responsibility. All right, you guys can take a seat. And the reason why I say that is because something that we like to teach our team and our care team when we're seeing patient after patient after patient come through is that when one patient has a drastic transformation, it's not just one person being impacted. I'll never forget when my mom decided to take her health seriously. I was annoyed because I had a bedroom in the downstairs basement. I would wake up at 5 a.m. hearing her on the elliptical, but seeing that did something to me. So when someone in your business transforms their life, they lose weight, right? That's fun, that's a cool before and after picture, but there's a husband that's impacted, there's a wife that's impacted, there's children that's impacted, there's a community that's impacted, there's a coworker that's impacted, and this is the responsibility and the power that we have, which is why fitness is so freaking cool, okay? And so this is where I started. I started in a park here. I had just found out I was having my first daughter, 2014, living a life that I was not proud of at the moment. And I knew I wanted to do something different. And so anyone here with Fit Body Bootcamp? Okay, so you guys probably know of a Bedros Keuilian. So I did not grow up around business, never knew it, never knew that was an option. And I remember dropping out of college with a semester left saying, I'm gonna go from being a personal trainer at 24 Hour Fitness and I'm gonna start a fitness business. You know, didn't even know what that meant. And so I flew out, it was called the seven-figure summit or whatever it's called, Fitness Business Summit. And that was my first interaction with gym owners, first interaction with business owners. Our VP of sales today, he's actually someone we hired. He was the first business owner I ever met. And I remember sitting down with him and him asking me, do I have a business banking account? And I was like, what the heck is that? So you can't just buy your groceries on your business account. Hopefully you guys all have business accounts. And so the advice I got was to go in a park, start a boot camp, because you have no money. I had no money. I took out a $700 credit card because that's all I could get approved with. Got some yoga mats, got some kettlebells, printed out some flyers, and illegally went around to the neighborhood and, losing it. All right, I can talk loud. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So went around to the neighborhood. We put flyers in every single mailbox. And somehow, Lord's willing, I had about 14 people show up that next week. And these crazy people trusted me after a 21-day boot camp to say, I'm gonna pay in full for a year membership to a gym that does not yet exist. That was fun. And so that's us right there in the middle, and Renegade boot camps over in Plano. I used to sleep in that gym when I couldn't afford rent. And that was where I got to be exposed to the impact that you get to have through what you do, right? Whether you're a nutrition coach, whether you have a med spa, right? Whether you have a gym, whether you're doing it in person, you're doing it online, there is power in what you have to do when you can impact countless lives. And so from there, I would like to say it was all up from there. I wish I knew more about high ticket sales because we were selling about $300, $500 packages, which was great for us at the time. But again, the room for error was low. And so we cranked. It was a lot of fun. And then there was a quote that I loved where it's that if you want to be a good leader, you have to first become a good follower. And that is where you guys have probably seen a name, Alex Hormozy. I'm sure you guys have seen that guy on the internet. That was where I got to know him and his wife, Layla, before they actually blew up. And that's where I decided to go ahead and step away from the gym. I actually gave all my clients over to Trevor here and just stepped away. And I went and worked at Gym Launch. And the reason I did that was because I wanted mentorship. I wanted to understand what does it look like to build a real business. I wanted to understand what does it look like to actually learn how to hire, learn how to build a team, learn how to run operations. And that was about the next 2.5 years of my life. And then fortunately, after that, I got the bug again, because if you're an entrepreneur once, you're always an entrepreneur. And from that, I decided to branch out, got a call from Trevor. It was actually on my wedding day. Hey, you're getting married. You know what your wife wants? You should quit your job. That's the best way to start a marriage. And my wife was all in. So he's like, man, we're running this agency. And we're kind of getting into IVs, we're helping some med spas out, we're doing all right. We have a few clients. I was like, cool, we're gonna go all in. And honestly, we got lucky because this was right at the beginning of when GLP-1 started becoming a thing. And so we became one of the first marketing agencies that advertised GLP-1s. And it blew up. Fast forward about 2 years later, we've worked with over 1,000 different clinics, med spas, multiple 7-figure business. And we decided to shut it all down. And Trevor will tell that story here in a little bit. But the reason we decided to shut it all down because we knew there was something more that had to happen in this industry. It wasn't just about advertising GLP-1s for clinics. It wasn't about helping script mills and online telehealth companies push medication. It was about taking a stance and doing something different in an industry that is not going to go away. So responsibility matters. This is my grandfather, Khalil. He was a strong, disciplined man. He taught me so much. He led our family well. And he is just someone that made me understand that you can do more than what you ever think you can, no matter what anyone puts on your life. He's born deep in the South during a time of racism, right? My grandma was actually still picking cotton at a plantation at one point in time for little money. And it was just at a time where they didn't have a lot of opportunity. But he still went through, attended college, joined the military, moved his family to Chicago, and raised 7 children. And he had character, right? He had principles. But the hard truth was that those two things were not the same as having education around your health. And so weight gain happened. Type 2 diabetes came. Got diagnosed with Parkinson's, dementia. And then I saw a man who I loved and was incredibly proud of suffering in a hospice, trying to decide, do they amputate his leg or do they just let him die? And while he was loved and he was surrounded by people, that's no way to go out. And I don't say this story because it's some rare story. I tell this because it's a pattern. This is a common story, unfortunately, for a lot of people. And it's not necessarily getting better, right? Obesity is now recognized as a chronic disease, thank God, but it is here. Over 40% of US Americans fall within the classification of being obese. Almost 10% of them are in the severely obese category. And this is not counting how many percentage of Americans will be classified as overweight, right? We have rise in diabetes. You have hypertension cases. You have people with sleep apnea that's linked to cancer. All these things coming because of one thing, which is obesity. And then you enter the market GLP-1s back in 2021. A lot of people think GLP-1s is this new radical drug. This stuff has been around for decades. It just started getting used for weight loss back in 2021. And it blew up. They're becoming mainstream. You have 1 in 6 adults that will admit to the fact that they have tried a GLP-1. Between 6 and 12% are actively on it. Probably say even higher. Not a lot of guys like to admit when they're on medical weight loss. And as much as we may not like it, money is the name of the game when it comes to the medication industry, right? If it makes money and it works, what's going to happen? They're pushing it, right? This market globally will be between about $100 to $150 billion moving forward, okay? And so it's not a question of, is this going to grow? It's now a question of, are you going to be a support layer for it? And so unless you've lived like Patrick underneath a rock, you have seen this all unfold. And we've had the opportunity to kind of be in that marketing industry over the last few years and seeing it unfold. And what we have seen is there's really 3 main camps, right? You have the first camp, which might have been some of you. Admit it, right? Who here has been the anti-meds, hard work, discipline, just work your butt off, stop being lazy, go eat some carrots, okay? I used to be that guy. I used to be the anti-supplement guy, if you just can't be disciplined, wake up, go work out, stop complaining, you have an issue. And so I worked with enough moms, because moms really hit me because of mine, that spent the last 30 years never having an education that we were blessed to have, right? 30 years never working out, 30 years just putting themselves last. And then you realize it's a little bit more than just discipline for some people, okay? You got camp number 2. These guys drive me crazy. You can't open up your Instagram right now without seeing some guru telling you about 12 different peptides that he's pin stacking himself with that you should be taking, all right? Because some rat research said it was okay. And so you have the extremes, right? You have the people that are like, take everything. Everyone should be on it. This is gonna solve, you've got an amputated leg, this is gonna grow your leg back. BPC 157, right? And then you have camp 3, which again, if you're Patrick under the rock and you still have not heard about this stuff, you're saying nothing, you're doing nothing. You're pretending like it's not happening. You're running your business like your industry is not going to change. Guys, the industry is changing. The change is already here. So we can't pretend like it's not happening. And we have to figure out which camp are we going to be in, which means that we probably need to create a new camp. And so that is why I'm here. I'm not here to convince you that GLP-1s are the right tool. I'm not here to convince you that peptides and other medications and medical weight loss are the only solution, because they're not, and they shouldn't be. But what I am here to convince you is that these patients are going to be on these medications no matter what. And so we might as well help them do something about it. Is that cool? And that's because the real problem that happens right now is that a medication cannot change someone's life. It can change appetite. It can make you eat a little bit less, right? It can help you get started. But what it's not going to do is it's not going to change someone's identity. It's not going to change their long-term habits. It's not going to suddenly build muscle mass and give them strength. It's not going to give them skills that they can take into the future, right, into older age. It's not going to make them more consistent. And it's not going to build the confidence they need to become the new person that you have to be when you're actually making a true long-term transformation, okay? And so your role is bigger than workouts, is bigger than treatments, is bigger than services. Your job is not to, maybe you have a med spa, you do aesthetics, right? That's not what you do, right? Your confidence, right? You're not just pain relief. your quality of life, your not just recovery, your restoration. You're not just getting people results, your accountability, okay? And you are not just a clinic, right? You're not here to get access to medications and set up some telehealth clinic, right? You are a partner in change. And so this is what matters, right? Because you are not where the people show up to you. You are how they succeed and where they succeed. And so over the next few minutes, I'm gonna walk you guys through 3 big moves that you can do right now, things that you can execute that can show you exactly how to actually get off the sidelines, get involved, and be on the front line where you belong. Number 1 is that you need to think partnership, not play doctor, okay? There is a kind of wave in this situation where you have these online gurus that are getting access to research-only peptides, right? And I know there's some belief about that. I'm not necessarily anti-research only, but what I am is that we have to stay in our lanes. And there are a lot of people right now that are acting and like their doctors and prescribing like their doctors and telling people what to do with things that are not supplements. These are injectable medications. No matter how confident we are in that medication or a peptide, there's still some responsibility here because this is gonna be a problem that's dangerous for them, and it's gonna be a problem that's dangerous for you and your business. And so the solution here, partners with physicians who actually give a crap. That's it, because there are some that exist. I know that's hard to believe, but there are some physicians that do care about long-term care of their patients. Because the best physicians, they understand that a prescription is not the full plan. That medication is a tool, but it's not the transformation. And this is where they need you, right? Because most physicians, as much as it sucks, we can try and change the healthcare industry, probably not going to happen, right? As much as we want to. So what we have to do is we have to deal with the reality that most physicians do not have time for weekly coaching. They don't have training and behavior change. If you guys haven't seen some of the videos where you have these doctors come out and they're like, they had maybe about 3 weeks of education around nutrition in all of their medical career, right? So they're not equipped. They don't have systems that you guys have. They don't have a fitness and a nutrition system that can scale. And they definitely don't have ongoing accountability. And so this is where you are the missing piece. This is where you can show up with structure, you can show up with support, you can show up with skill building tools that you need. Coach Catalyst, they're in this room here and they give you guys tools for stuff like that, which is amazing to see when it comes to habit change. And this is where you can make sure that a patient is not just getting a script and being lost in the wind. So this is the bridge, right? This is where you connect together. And so step number 2 here is to build a transformation program and do not just sling meds, okay? One of the big pillars that we have when we onboard people to AsherMed is we teach them you have a powerful responsibility here because now you have an option, right? An ability to add medication onto your programs, right? You have an ability just to sling medication. You have an ability to be like a Hims and Hers and just, hey, get on some tirzepatide. Everyone should do it. But you have a responsibility to not do that. You have a responsibility to build an actual transformation program, which is awesome because it goes into everything Scott's talking about here of selling high ticket. So you have easy access to affiliate commission sites that you can go and sign up people to their sites and you can get a commission. You have access to research only. You have a lot of shortcuts to where if you want to get on this bandwagon, you can sell medication, even as a non-prescriber. But the problem is that if you do this, you are just another cog in the machine. You're no different than Big Pharma, you're just a lot smaller. That's all it is. And if you think you're gonna compete on just slinging medication, you're going to be outpriced by the people that are doing it at massive volume, okay? And then you put yourself in a situation where your business just can't grow. So it's designing a medical weight loss transformation program is where it's become key. Right? It's a real offer that includes access to a legit physician that gives a crap, that has access to the medication. It's making sure that we have nutrition that fits the actual journey that someone will go through on a GLP-1. It's making sure that there is accountability with this, right? Someone just taking a pill is not gonna change their life. Someone just taking an injection is not gonna change their life. There needs to be accountability with it. And then someone that has fitness to actually protect the muscle mass and make sure that they don't hate the body they're in after they lose the weight. You guys ever heard of Ozempic face? Yeah, okay? It does not have to happen, okay? So people do not buy price, they buy outcomes. Scott has just spoken about this a lot. And so There are some that want the cheapest. There always will be, right? There will always be the Groupon shoppers. You guys know this so well with being in a lot of you in the gym space, but most buyers want the result and they are willing to pay for it. All right? You're probably tired of getting called out, Brian, but someone's willing to pay $25,000. People are willing to pay for a result. And so your job is to build the outcome, right? The path, and guide them down it. And so I'm gonna walk you guys through how you can just quickly kind of do this in your sales process. Number one, you need a great consult. Scott hit on this a little bit. I have done over, maybe 1,500, 2,000 one-on-one in-person fitness sales. I've done over 1,000 plus high-ticket B2B sales selling a $30,000 coaching product. I've done I don't know how many sales for our companies because they just always like to throw me on the calls. Okay? So I always get the opportunity to be the guy that has to build the sales team. And this is a framework that works no matter where you're at, right? Number one, you set the stage, right? This is the welcome. This is the greeting. This is where you do something weird. I used to love opening up the gym door. If it's the evening, I would always say good morning. If it was the morning, I would always say good evening, right? It's just something weird to get them off of their guard, okay? Because you are different. You're not the physician. You're not the physician that doesn't care, right? You're not the online telehealth company. This is what separates you from them going to a Hims and Hers. Then we go into what we call a pre-sale questionnaire. Scott talked a little bit about having an intake form. This is where you get the objections out of the way before they actually happen, okay? From here, this is one of my favorite hacks, I call it the swap, is that after they fill out that intake form, a lot of people will make the mistake. You see this happens in your doctor's office and it probably drives you crazy where you sit there with their pen that doesn't work and you spend 10 minutes filling something out. The doctor brings you back there, doesn't even look at it. And you're like, why the hell did you even have me waste my time filling that out? Okay? So we don't do that because you guys care. So you take a social proof binder, which I'll explain in a second what's in that binder. You physically hand it to them. You say, I'm gonna swap you. You take that intake form back and you actually go and read it while they look through all of your results, okay? From here, we move into a body analysis, some type of baseline. You have InBody out there, a machine worth investing in. Okay, whether you're touching medicine or not, there should be some type of scan, some type of sequence, even if it's just a scale, but something where you are actually taking measurements, you're understanding body fat, you're understanding what is happening, and you can give them a visual of what's going on with their body. Okay, from here you now move into your consult, right? And this is where you get the intro, this is where you get the discovery, and this is where you get an agreement to a problem and an agreement to a solution, which now lays you into your pitch and allows you to close with very few objections. This is a high ticket sales process. There's a lot of different ways to skin the cat. This has allowed me to sell a lot of high ticket things. So, step one, they come into the room. We kind of talked about this. You have a clean welcome. You have proof everywhere. It can be pretty. Some of you guys who owns a med spa here, aesthetic, right? You guys probably like pretty things. I get it. So you can still make it pretty. For me, it was just ugly, printed out before and after pictures all up and down a wall, okay? It works, but there needs to be proof somewhere. You have that clipboard, you have the intake form, and you have your enrollment options ready to go. You have the greeting, like I talked about, something that's gonna kind of get them out of their state, get them out of their zone. You're gonna explain what the process is gonna go like real quick, and you're going to get agreement that they're going to follow that process. Then this is that trade, right? This is that intake form to the trade for the proof binder. They're gonna fill out that one-page questionnaire. You're gonna trade it. You're gonna physically trade it. Just because you have before and after pictures up on the screen does not mean anything. Most people do not look at those. So you trade them with that binder. You skim their answers while they skim your results. And so what goes in that binder? It could be anything, all right? You can do this online too. You have your before and afters. Maybe you don't have a lot of before and afters. Print out every single 5-star review you have. Go to Yelp, go to Facebook, go to Google, print everything out, put it in there. Write your own case studies. This is one of my favorite things that I would do is where I would take a client who had a transformation and I would just write their case study. Let them read it, okay? Day in the life snapshot, what can they expect? FAQ sheet, right? This is where you start getting rid of objections, right? Safety, travel, what happens? Using Meta as a tool. And then from here now we get into a discovery where we can actually earn the pitch. Right? We go deep on this. We don't just go straight to pitching your stuff. This is where most physicians that we used to work with when we did the marketing agency sucked because all they want to do was get into the science behind how things work, and that is not how you sell. Okay? You understand Who are they? What have they tried? Why did it fail? What is the cost of this problem to them? Their energy, their relationship with their spouse, their kids, what's happening at work? What is the true dream, the desired outcome that they're looking to get to? And then most importantly, why can't they do it? All right, if you're that hardcore disciplined person, this part might suck for you because everything's an excuse, but it is still real in their head. So you have to understand what are those excuses that to them are the constraints, the things stopping them from getting to where they want to go. And then once you have this, you don't pitch. Once you have this, you just want a commitment to change. That is it. On a scale of 1 to 10, going through after this, are you ready to do something? That's all you're looking for here. Can I give you guys a little hack? Is that okay? Yeah? You guys want a little sneak? This is something that I didn't know I realized I was doing until I had someone watch all of my sales calls. Does not matter what your sales environment is, but this is where you actually learn what are you selling before you get to the close. Because a lot of people will go from discovery. You guys have already, probably heard the sales steps, right? Intro, discovery, pitch, close. A lot of people go straight from discovery to close. But something that I've realized is that there is a secret close that has to happen. And if you get this before you actually go to pitching your product, you will be able to close high ticket stuff without a lot of objections. You guys want to know it? Is that cool? Okay. It's just simply getting an agreement on what is the problem, an agreement on what the solution is. You are selling that. Now, if you did discovery right, you know the problem, you know what they're struggling with, you know why they're struggling with it, you know what's preventing them from having success, and you just get clarification on it. That's it, which hopefully you're doing anyways, so that just makes you a good person, right? That's called empathy. That's called understanding. Because if you speak out, hey, so it sounds like you're struggling with this, and it's because you're struggling with this, that this is happening, and this is what's stopping you from having success, and they're like, no, that's not it. Well, you did a poor job in discovery. Okay, you should work and listen to your skills. And so we get agreement there. We summarize the problem, confirm that that's it. And then we get agreement on the solution. The solution is not your pitch. The solution is not what you're selling. The solution is, okay, so it sounds like if you actually had a nutrition plan that wasn't just some crazy 6-week crash diet and you could actually follow that for the rest of your life, that would probably help you out. It sounds like if you actually had a little bit of accountability and you were in a system that gave a crap, that would probably help you out. It sounds like you need workouts that kind of fit your desire and your goals and what you're doing, and that's what you're looking for. All right, so if you had all of those things, do you think that would help you get to X? Do you guys see how I'm not selling my thing, but I am selling the solution? And then let's be real, your thing is that solution. So you get agreement there. Right? So if you have this, would that work? And they have now said yes. And now this is where it lays you up to where you can pitch it. And it can keep your pitch extremely simple and extremely easy to where all you are simply doing here is you're going result first. That's it. What is the outcome sentence? That's what you want. What does your thing help them do? And what's the time frame? That is what you're stating. And then when we get into what we call our pillars, your pillars are the how pillars. I have pitched several different offers and several different businesses. And this framework has always worked, which is just simple. What is the result? What am I selling? And these are the 2 to 4 steps on how I'm going to get you those results. These are not the benefits. These are not the features. This is not what it comes with. This is simply the how. All right? So this matters, guys. And it matters because transformation is not just weight loss, right? Transformation is who are they going to become after they do your program. That is transformation. And this is what lasts. And so it also helps your business, which is pretty cool because who here does want more profit? I hope so, right? If you want to make a little bit more money, having a process like this, having a higher ticket package that includes access to medications, it makes you different. Okay? It allows you to have a higher ticket price. It gives your clients better outcomes. It improves your retention, and it drastically increases the better referrals that you actually want. And so last step here, guys, is to become the expert. That's your goal here. Not to become the physician, but to become the expert in your space. All right, because medical weight loss, as we talked about, longevity, performance meds, all these different things, they're not going away. They're here to stay. And so what we need to look at is that as access rises, this is where shady players will come in and they will confuse people. Do you guys remember when gluten-free became a thing? It was so annoying when you would walk into a grocery store and you would see an item that never even has gluten in the first place, say gluten-free on the package, and it costs like 5 times more, right? So this is what happens, unfortunately. In an industry, when there is profit to be made, you will have players come in. These will be your big online telehealth brands that don't actually give a crap and that are just pushing script mills. These are your big pharma, right, that like to claim stuff. This is sometimes FDA, right? You have big players that will come in and they will take advantage of a confused market. And so the only way around this is to have people on the front line, right, who are not just in this for profit and are in this because they actually give a crap about the person. So you need to be the expert that can help them see through the noise, that can walk them through what's real, what's probably crap. You don't need 20 peptides in your stack to be successful. You need to be the person that can help them understand what is appropriate, help them understand how can they stay safe when they're on these medications, right? How can they understand that, hey, if you're at a plateau, that does not mean you need to go run to your doctor and say, I want to keep increasing my dose. Hey, it's probably not normal if your hair starts to fall out. Hey, you're eating 200 calories a day, and when you do eat that, it's like crap, probably not good for you. So they need people that they can trust, that can educate them on it, because it will blow your mind, and it's not their fault. People just don't know. It's been really cool. This is going to be a quick side story, but my father was following the same steps as my grandfather, and he just did not know. He was about to have to get on insulin for type 2 diabetes. We now have him working with us. His A1C is lower, no insulin required. And for the first time ever, like, he's just actually doing it. He's going to the gym, he's getting better. But even with him, right, I had to walk him through things that he did not know. He did not know that, hey, I'm on medical weight loss, so my appetite's less, which means that then I can just eat the candy and the food that I want at the end of the day now, and that's okay. He had no clue that was an issue. He thought that was completely normal. So clients need this. They need you to be that expert here, okay? So simple framework here is NFA, right? Nutrition, fitness, accountability. You've probably heard that before, right? It's being able to be the expert on nutrition, not just nutrition and macros and all those things there, but nutrition of what does it look like for someone on GLP-1s, specifically, right, to have a proper diet. What does it look like to put protein first? How do you kind of help them with gastrointestinal things by increasing their fiber, increasing hydration? How do you give them simple tools that they can do because they're not going to be hungry? It's just a side effect of the medication. It's a benefit of the medication, but can also be a con if they don't have simple tools they can follow. It's teaching them about resistance training, right? I think Scott threw some rocks at Orange Theory Fitness, so that's okay. But someone on a GLP-1 medication on a low-calorie diet probably shouldn't be doing high-intensity interval training every single day of the week, okay? So it's understanding what type of training do they actually need. It's giving them accountability to help make this stuff stick, right? What are the weekly check-ins? What are you looking for? How do you know when there's something that has to be escalated, right? When maybe there's a side effect that should be escalated to a doctor or a physician. And so there's something that our doctor has helped us develop that we love. It's called the GLP-1 experience curve. And this is where you really understand and set your program in terms of what does it actually look like and what does someone go through when they get on a medical weight loss medication for the first time. Number one is the adjustment period, right? This is where we figure out what is normal, right? What change is going to happen? How do we simplify your routine so that way when you are eating lower and you don't feeling that hungry, that you can still make sure you're getting protein in. Number two, appetite starts to change, but now they're prepared for it because of what you just walked them through in phase number one. Number three, rapid progress will start to happen. So how do they protect that? How do you make sure that you're not losing too much weight too fast to where you start losing muscle mass, right? Because the name of the game here is to preserve as much lean body mass as possible. Then phase number four, it will happen, and this is where you guys are so important because adaptation happens to anything that you do. And so this is where in the online space, telehealth, this is where we get people in trouble. Because the only tool that a script mill has when someone plateaus is what? Increase the dose. That's the only tool they have. Because they're not going to take the time to hop on the call and understand that Susie's not really eating what she's supposed to be eating, that Susie's not actually doing her exercise, that Susie didn't know that she was supposed to be doing walking every single day, that Susie's not sleeping, right? They're not going to take the time to do that. And even if they did take the time to do that, they don't have the resources to do anything about it. So what can they do to keep their business? They increase the dose. And that is where you get people losing their hair, losing a lot of muscle mass with the highest dose possible when they shouldn't be on it, okay? So that step number 4 is really important to have someone in play who can guide them through that. And then phase number 5 is my favorite one because this is identity and long-term change. What happens when you hit the goal? How do you make sure you don't rebound and have to just cycle back through it all over again? And so this is what the pros do. How many partners are here right now? AsherMed, right? This is what you guys are learning. And this is what if you guys know, we try and preach this over and over again and give you the resources you need to be able to actually have the tools to be equipped to be the expert in this space. And so you stay in your lane, right? You know what to coach, you know what to escalate, you understand it, you're dangerous with it, but not so that way you can play prescriber, that way you can have a great partnership with a physician. And I understand that a lot of this, guys, it's a lot. There's a lot of expertise to take on. And this is where we had a mission to kind of figure out how do we design this. Trevor came to me one day and he says, I feel like our brand needs to switch to education base because it's not just a game of how do we get medication in other coaches' hands so you guys can make a piece of the pie. It's how do we get you guys to become the experts in the front line to make a massive difference in this industry. And who knows, maybe we can change healthcare. That'd be pretty cool. And so, can I give you guys a free gift? Right? If you're an AsherMed partner, this just released, you will have free access to it. But for you guys that are not a partner with us, whether you sign up with us or not, we still want you trained. Because whether you sign up with us or not, or you use another service, I guarantee you someone's gonna be walking through your door, someone's gonna be hopping on a consult that is going to be on a GLP-1 medication. And you should be equipped with the tools that you need to guide them through it. And so we're gonna give you guys full access to our GLP-1 and metabolic health certification program. I'm not gonna walk through all of this, but this gives you full access to what you need to be able to have clear coaching frameworks to be able to support your clients on a GLP-1, to understand nutrition templates and things that you need, right? You might be a great nutrition coach, but just having the things that are specific for someone that is on a medical weight loss medication, right? Understanding side effect awareness. What is normal, what's not normal? What should they go and escalate back to their doctor, right? What should they watch out for? The roadmap, the journey, what's going to happen with this patient as they're working with you so you can be prepared for it and you can help them walk through the obstacles that they will come through. And so if you're a visual person, a little bit of what it looks like behind the scenes. You're gonna have tons of toolkits, practical applications. You're going to have nutrition, fitness, habit guides, trackers, things that you need to be able to guide someone through. And the reason why I'm extremely pumped about this is something that took us 4 months to build. It was not something we just whipped through and just put a bunch of videos together. We want to be as extremely intentional about it. This is Dr. Crystal Brochard. We call her Dr. B. She is our physician, our chief medical officer here at AsherMed, and she is our main prescribing physician with her 7 PAs underneath her. We don't use a massive physician network because the reason we don't use that is because we want consistency and we want someone who actually gives a crap, okay? And that is her. And so she has a long history in this industry in obesity for about 25 years. She's been in this space. So she's seen all the medications come and go. She has trained other doctors. And it was really cool to hear from her and hear her say that after 1,000 hours of training hours that she's had to do over her last 25 years and training other people, she has never seen a certification program like this that actually equips people with the resources to actually take action. And so this is your guys' moment. You guys feeling excited about this? Man, I have all the tech issues, not Scott, just me. I fixed it. Let's go. All right. So, is that a pretty cool gift? Yep. You guys feel like there's something you can do in this industry to make a change? All right. So, I'm going to ask you for one quick favor here. I want to ask you to stand one more time. All right. Not yet. Not yet. We ask this question on our sales calls. Anytime I do a live call, I ask it. We want to make sure that this is true, and I only want you to do it if you actually mean it. But please stand if you're ready to be a part of the solution to help transform lives. Stand here. Can I steal your phone real quick? I need your camera. Look around, guys. You guys are the front line. I love how Scott called it earlier. He says, you are the frontline defense. You have the room to make impact in an industry where people treat us like we're dumb, right? You see the food pyramid just changed. Guess what? Bodybuilders in the 40s were preaching that. You see physical therapy programs are changing when it used to be, oh, you're injured, don't work out for 6 weeks. Who was on the front line that said that was dumb? Us, okay? So we actually can make an impact in an industry where it feels like big pharma, FDA, physicians, telehealth have all the control. It's not true, all right? It's you guys. Can I take a selfie with you? Let's go. One more here. Give me some hands up. And let's go. All right, y'all can take a seat. All right, so if we agree this is the future, question is, how do we do this the right way? Trevor, my business partner, is gonna come up and talk, probably a little bit less than I did, and he's gonna talk to you guys a little bit about why was Asher created, what are we trying to accomplish now, and where are we moving forward in this future, and moving there pretty dang fast. Thank you, guys.
All right, can you hear me? Nope, yes? Through the mic, there we go, awesome. Sweet, great job, Josh. I just first want to start with thanking Scott for having us out here. One of the things that was impactful when I first, one of the first slides he showed, where we had gym owners and we had med spa owners and we had wellness business owners. And when we started this company, the idea was that there was these silos of businesses that were living when they should be working in collaboration. And that was the whole concept behind why we even created AsherMed to begin with. But I'm gonna start a little bit. My journey is very similar to Josh. There was a day, I was probably 20 at the time. I was at Texas A&M studying to go to physical therapy school, and I was going to get my hair cut at Floyd's 99, and Josh walked through the front door and sat right next to me. And Josh and I actually went to high school together, but we didn't know each other because he's a little bit older than I am. But he sat next to me, and I was like, I think I recognize this guy. And so we started talking, and we were reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad at the time. And Josh, basically in 20 minutes, he got onto me for calling him on his wedding day about joining our company, but I had got married 4 months earlier. I was still in college, and he was like, you don't need to go to PT school. That's a waste of 4 years. Just come start a business, like start a gym. In college, I owned a vending machine business. I was entrepreneurial by nature, but he was like, the gym space, that's where you need to be. And so I was a personal trainer in college, and right out of college, instead of going to physical therapy school, I ended up opening a gym called Pursue Performance. And it was interesting because I was an athlete. I played football throughout my life, and it started as this idea of I wanted to help athletes. And so we would be training youth athletes, college athletes, NFL athletes, preparing for combines. And there was parents that started coming up and realized that there was this space of people that actually needed some real help that we would be able to serve. And so we slowly got into kind of the boot camp scene. This is a Christmas party that we were throwing with all of those people. But I fell in love with the idea of taking someone, I think it was why I wanted to go to PT school, is I love this person has something that is going on in their life, and I can walk them through what it looks like to improve their life. And it's something that I fell in love with. But the interesting thing is, okay, how did this guy that is running a gym now is supposed to be developing health technology for the entire health industry and bridging that between the wellness and medical space. And so I want to tell you a little bit about the founding story of AsherMed, how we even got this thing going. And there was right before Josh had actually put Justin and I together. And for those of you that got the privilege of knowing Justin, Justin was actually our business partner who helped start all of this, deep, deep passion and care for this industry, and he tragically did pass away 2 months ago. He actually is the one that was supposed to be speaking today. And so it's been a rough couple of months, but it has really even motivated us even more to continue growing Asher. But Justin and I had started this IV marketing agency, and a client came up to us and was like, "Hey, have you heard of these GLP-1s?" Like, no, but we've marketed we've marketed weight loss before, and so we'll give it a shot. And like Josh said, we quickly grew because there was this huge boom for the GLP-1 market. But what was interesting is that Justin would go to conferences and speak all over the place and a lot. He was invited in multiple different conferences throughout the US, and he always would actually speak on patient care. He never actually spoke on marketing and sales, which was interesting because we were a marketing and sales company. But there was always this passion, even when we were doing that, of how do we take what GLP-1s are, or the medical weight loss, the Somorlins, the NADs, the glutathiones, how do you take these medications that are booming and actually create packages and programs that change people's life? And I'll never forget, we were at Cryo Convention in Dallas, and one of the doctors that owns a huge prescriber type network came up to us and was like, "I don't know how well you guys do in the marketing agency, but you need to do that. Like, you need to show people how they can take care of patients beyond the exam room." And so from that, I was sitting in my room at 4 a.m. one morning and thought of the idea of Asher, and called Justin and called Josh, and we're like, "Guys, this is it. Like, this is what we were doing." And so that started to build in there. It was interesting because our backgrounds were in the gym, but we had seen the space evolve so much in our time marketing and selling and consulting for all of these groups that we really understood both sides in a unique way. I don't think we would have built Asher without these two, where our worlds kind of collided in the same way we want to collaborate and bridge your guys' worlds. Our founding belief was that there is medication, which can be good, and it is actually necessary. Even if you go take a step back, it's not even about GLP-1s. There's medication in general is a gift from God that we're able to help heal people and get them over sicknesses and keep them alive longer through medication. But there was this idea that, yes, it can accelerate progress, but it is not going to be the thing that actually changes someone's life. It is a temporary fix to a long-term health problem. Most people die with the same problems that they've been medicated on for 15 years because it actually never got solved. The medication won't solve it, it just masks it. And so we had this idea that if we bridge that with education, coaching, safety, systems, and long-term protocols and programs, that we would be able to take that and help somebody get off medication and not stay on medication for their entire life. And so as we got more into this, the gap became very clear. There is a huge gap right now. There's medical care, which is prescription, monitoring. You guys go, your primary care physicians, your specialists, they have limited time, and then they have symptoms and they fight that symptom. Then we have wellness care, which is all of you in this room, that is actually taking care of the patient or customer on a day-to-day basis, walking them through what habit change looks like, walking them through what eating healthier looks like, and really making a difference in their day-to-day life. The normal person is going to see their primary care doctor maybe once every 6 months, maybe once every year. I don't even know the last time I went to see my primary care doctor. And so the touch point there is not often enough to actually make change in that person's life. And the problem is the patient is the one that hurts. And so the inability for us to bridge this gap actually leaves millions and millions of people without proper care, which is why care in the US is not good, to say the least. And honestly, I hate throwing lots of rocks and stones at physicians and saying, "Oh, they don't care about the person. Like they don't want to help them. They don't want to change their life." And it's just not true. Because I don't know about you, but I personally would not go to school for 16 years about somebody I didn't care about and somebody I didn't want to change their lives and help them through. And it's not their fault that they've been put in this position. There is a known, basically, epidemic that there is a lack of physicians across America. And it's over the last, I think, 10 years, insurance reimbursements have dropped 33%. Which means they're getting paid less. And so people are coming to this idea of, okay, why am I going to go to school to make $150,000, or for 16 years to make $150,000 a year doing primary care? And so as this happens, we have more people that are getting older and aging, and obesity is rising, and all these care issues that are happening with less people to do it. There's a stat that if a physician were to do everything that they could to take care of somebody and help them beyond just the 10 minutes that they have in the care room, they would have to work, every physician in the United States would have to work 26.7 hours a day to be able to take care properly all the people in the United States that need the care. And obviously there's 24 hours in a day, so that's not happening. And so I think it's realizing that the system is like fundamentally flawed. There's no way that you're like, we're not going to fix it with AI that does all the coding so that they don't have to go and make notes afterwards. That's just gonna help them see more patients. It's not gonna help them actually create better care that we are actually looking for. And so this is where wellness business comes into play. You're not an add-on. You're not somebody that just comes on afterwards and handles it. You are someone that is a leverage for somebody to get better and healthier through a life that is committed to change and behavioral change alongside the medical piece of it. So the person that is checking in with people between appointments, between check-ins, and in the daily decisions that somebody has to make, you are the one that is able to bridge that gap between their medical provider and them, that is able to step into their day-to-day life. And so that is where AsherMed, this is everything we've built has been around this concept. And we have a long ways to go, and we work tirelessly and daily on doing this. But the whole idea behind Asher was, there was this idea that we had telemedicine, right? The key thing that telemedicine figured out is that COVID actually really expanded it, because telehealth became a lot more accessible. Before COVID, there was a lot of rules around telemedicine that it didn't allow it to be something that could be done across the US. And one of the things that telemedicine figured out during COVID was that, hey, we can have these prescriber groups, we can have these 503A pharmacies throughout the United States, and we can do this thing at scale. And so when they did that, it made it cheaper and easier, while the brick and mortars did not have that technology. And so a brick and mortar location to offer the medications would have to have medical oversight, they would have to have nurses, they would have to have just medical team on staff. There was a lot of compliance issues that went with that. And we said, what if we built the same technology that these telehealth platforms use, but give it to the people that actually care about them? And if we can do that and make it more affordable, then I think change can be made. And so we gave legit access to medical care. We have a provider network that covers all 50 states plus DC, because they operate on in their own world, which means that we have safe prescribing oversight. And so with that, now we work on teaching partners like you guys on how to actually deliver a system that creates long-term transformation, and making sure that you're staying within your lane and guidelines whenever you're doing that. The goal of the model was easy. It was high integrity, high outcomes, and low risk. We know that walking into the medical space, a lot of times the piece that makes you not want to go there is that there is risk involved. Like, you are dealing with someone, it's not supplements. These are injections that people are taking that are compounded by 503A pharmacies. And so there is risk that, what if something happens to that patient? And so one of the biggest things we had to overcome is, how do we remove that liability from the business owners that are using the AsherMed platform, so that you could focus on the things that you cared about most and are good at, which is coaching, support, and ultimately creating change in somebody's life. And so how does that support the frontline? Is we integrate medical tools into programs responsibly. We maintain lean mass performance, so you're able to scale this without taking on the crazy overhead and everything, so that there actually is money involved. Because yes, we do understand that we don't want to be pill mills, but we also have lives and families. And so there has to be a way to make money responsibly. If you're changing people's lives, in my opinion, I think you deserve to be paid to do that. Aligning fitness and nutrition with medical phases, and then keep clients engaged after that initial drop that we see. It's really not about more scripts. More scripts are going to happen. Like, if we all left today and did nothing, this is still gonna happen. More scripts are gonna be written. It's about, how do we actually create better care for the individual that is going through any piece of their life that is not a fun place to be. We are able to step in and provide better care. I have this, just like, it drives me daily, is that people across the US have lacked the education and knowledge to do something that is drastically will change their life. If most of you are, if you're taking care of yourself, you're eating right, you're getting proper care, you are getting on medication that is helping you, and then being able to get off, your life drastically improves. And like Josh was saying, it is very little is at the time that they just don't want. Like, no one wants to be in that position, but they lack the education and tools to do that, and we can give that to them. And so where we're ultimately going is I want a room full of MDs and gym owners and wellness clinics and med spas across the US to come into one place, because we are not competing. We don't need to talk bad about physicians. We don't need to talk bad about med spas. We don't need to talk bad about wellness clinics or gym owners. Or that's not what needs to happen. There are millions and millions of people that need proper care. And the only way to get proper care is to collaborate together and deliver that in one piece. And so for us, it is, how do we get to that place? We are, again, at the beginning of a long, long journey. I think this is a decade of grind and push to get to the place we want to be. But to give that, we are going to implement labs, comprehensive assessments, long-term protocols that we can walk people through, ongoing monitoring like wearables and trackers, and then sustainable transformation programs, and helping that adapt into an ecosystem where the provider and the partner and the wellness provider can talk and actually collaborate to create better care for an individual. The idea is, if we can imagine a client journey where they're going to their doctor and they're understanding their health, because there is value in doing that and understanding their labs and what's going on in their body, but then they are able to go to the wellness care person that is able to support that, because they're talking to that provider, and they are able to create a program designed for someone so that we have long-term transformation, because that is ultimately the goal. I think it's really interesting because the biggest, like the Super Bowl, Josh mentioned, the Super Bowl hims and hers. I think it's important to follow big companies, whether you like them or not. It's irrelevant. They're a $10 billion company, so they're doing something. They understand where the industry is going because they're leading the industry. And up until the Super Bowl, hims and hers whole marketing ploy was easy access to care. Like, that was always it. You could log on your phone, you can get an app, it's easy access to care, it's quick, it's easy, it's cheap, it's affordable. Super Bowl changed their entire website. Their entire website transitions, their whole marketing ploy changed into, oh, the wealthy have this, this, and this, and we're gonna give you personalized medicine. And it's ironic because they don't, but they know that is where it's going. They know that personalized medication is what people want. They're tired of pill mills. They're tired of getting a prescription and no follow-up with it. And so they have completely transitioned. Now, they may implement more things to make that better, but my guess is a company that does $2 billion a year and spends half of that on marketing, and the rest of the money just kind of goes to random other areas, their ability to create care is almost impossible. And honestly, the reason Asher exists is because you can't have this quality of people taking care of people on your staff and scale that big, which is why we were like, what if we give it to them so that we can do it together? And so the invitation for you guys is, this is bigger than what we're doing. Josh talked about that. I want to tell a short story. Just, I think it shows the commitment to us doing this, and it's not to brag, but probably a month ago, we got a call from the pharmacy, one of the big pharmacies they use, and they said, we'll give you $12 million for AsherMed. And for anyone in this room, $12 million is life-changing money. I'm 31 years old, Josh is 32. We can do a lot of things with $12 million. But there was something about it where I asked why, and they said, we want your patients. And like, they're a pharmacy. So the only reason they wanted to purchase our company is because we have 8,000 patients, we have 600 amazing partners, a lot of them here today, and they knew if they have that, then they can take that and they can require everyone to use that pharmacy. And so they have no desire to create better care. They just want to make money on medication. And so for Josh and I, it was a quick laugh in my office, and I'm like, screw that, we would never do something like that. And so our commitment is bigger than that. I think that there fundamentally has to be a change in the way that care is handled. And I think it's a shame that we have people like you guys in this room, but we look behind us and there's 50%, 40%, whatever the stat is now, of America struggling with obesity, that 80% of deaths could be come from preventable illnesses. And so it's, how do we get a movement of people that understand those things, that can create change, and give them access and ability to work with providers and prescribers to be able to create like a change that actually lasts for good. And now we'll open it up for some Q&A. Josh, are you gonna come back up here? No Q&A, we went way too long. No, if you want, if you have questions, I'm sure there's lots of questions because we are medical and yeah, there's a lot of things happening in this environment. But Josh and I will be walking around and hanging out. So come up to us, ask us questions, and we can dive more into that. But thank you guys so much, and yeah, have a good rest of the day.